Welcome, everybody, to another Link to the Past Randomizer AD Keys Tournament 2022 one-on-one race between Fry, aka Saltyphry, and Vortexofdoom. I'm Ben Creighton in the commentating booth, joined by Lucian Greeth. Did I pronounce that even close to correct?
That is 100% correct, Ben.
Yay, I did it!
Yeah, we got a matchup between two. I mean, they're in the quarterfinals, so obviously these are two top-tier players.
Absolutely. Vortex defeating Illis to get here. Saltyphry coming here after defeating R.D. Walsh. And the winner of today's match will go on to face Humbug in the semis.
Yep, and for those tuning in for the first time, we're running AD Keys, All Dungeons Key Sanity. So on top of the usual randomizer shenanigans, all the dungeon keys have been pulled out of the dungeons. So you might find a small key to Palace of Darkness in Link's house for whatever reason. Maybe the uncle was stashing it for a rainy day, who knows?
Yep, this is... I've gained a greater appreciation for this mode after being involved in this tournament. It's a lot more about efficiency of routing as opposed to trying to do spicy skips, because guess what? Between the All Dungeons and the Key Sanity, if you can think of it, you're probably going to need it.
Yeah, this mode can be very punishing if you try to go for a nice little skip. You know, you skip often looked over places like maybe Tower of Hera basements. It can lead to very punishing. That could have your Thieves Town big key and be very punishing.
Yes, indeed. All dungeons, of course, including the ever-popular Aga Tower with its two small keys that we're going to need to find.
Yeah, it's Key Sanity. You'll see some tactics you don't usually see in regular randomizer modes. Some different routing choices, different tactics. So it's a nice little shake-up compared to the normal open modes.
Yep, and a lot more emphasis, too, on reading the logic, because a lot of potential for logical sequence breaks, the way key logic works, which is a topic that still tends to break my brain.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, get keys, go places. I've gained a greater appreciation for key logic running through the qualifiers for this tournament, but it's still a greater concept that, like, just like you, kind of breaks my brain.
I understand it better now than I did before this tournament, but that's a low bar.
Yeah, I came in knowing keys open doors. That's all I had going into this. Especially that ever important, seems like the big sticking point as far as key logic goes is Palace of Darkness. And definitely learned a lot from playing this tourney.
Yeah, Palace of Darkness, one of those interesting locations. 6 small keys to find and put everything in logic, but with the right skips, it can be full cleared with as few as 4, and you only need 1 potentially to get to the boss, so lots of potential for weird shenanigans there.
Definitely, and that ever fun skip, the hammer jump. You rarely see it in regular modes, but it's practically a mainstay for Key Sanity mode.
Absolutely. If you haven't learned it yet, better learn it before getting too deep into Key Sanity modes. And it looks like we should be getting started in just a second here.
Yep, here we go. Oh, it looks like Vortex is rewarded right off the bat with his Power Glove.
Yes, indeed. And we do have a boot start today, so that wasn't just luck. Both of our runners do get to go fast.
And Vortex is immediately putting out those gloves to good use by going to the back of escape and bonking that wall.
Yep, one of the nice things about Boot Start, don't have to worry about farming those bombs, and we're going to get a Thieves' Town big for our troubles.
That can be a very sticky point to find that Thieves' Town big, so you already get one of those elusive keys right off the bat.
Meanwhile, Fry looking in the Sage's closet, getting a Mire and a Pod small. Nice to have for later, but nothing huge quite yet.
Yep, looks like Fry's following suit on that back of escape check.
I'm loving the old school Link's Awakening aesthetic over there on Vortex's side.
Oh yeah, that's always a fun sprite to play with.
I'm a sucker for matching your sprite with your MSU pack as well, and that's $80 there in the tree pull, coupled with that 300 rupee drop, puts us in good shape money-wise, and there's the mirror in Lost Woods.
Yeah, for a long time I'm right with you there with matching your sprite to your NSU, but then I discovered the Neil Peart sprite, and I have not turned back. Oh yeah, I mentioned keys and such being pulled out of dungeons. That also goes for the maps and compasses. Compasses will... what do compasses do in this mode again?
Compasses don't do much for you in this mode. In a boss shuffle, it'll tell you what the boss of the dungeon is, which they're going to be vanilla in this mode. Maps will let you know what the dungeon prize is, which can be useful for your 5-6 crystals and your pendants, but this is an all dungeons mode. You're going to need them all eventually.
Right, right. Thank you. Right, that's... I remember I was missing something. Yeah, compasses in Key Sanity mode will show you the number of chests you've opened in a dungeon, which can be helpful for tracking purposes.
Yeah, it's nice for us as viewers. Of course, the runners with only their own screen to look at tend to find tracking dungeon items a little easier, but as a commentator, I appreciate it.
Yeah, saves us from having to memorize things. Alright, there's that Mire big. So, any predictions for what do you think is going to be that key that it's going to give everyone the most trouble?
I mean, the easy answer is the second Aga 1 small, but that's too easy. I'm gonna say Eastern Big.
That's a good one. That's been a key that has caused me some grief in the past, so I like that. I'm gonna go ahead and put a wager on Swamp Small.
Yeah, that's always a fun one. Only the one small key that's wild in Swamp, but it locks away every check in the dungeon except for the one chest where it is in vanilla.
Imagine a 80 keys seed with a vanilla Swamp Small. That'd be fun.
I've seen it happen, and it's a little rude.
No one suspects the place where it actually is.
Bit of a slow start here. Not too crazy. That does tend to be how this mode is. You're likely going to have to hit some overworld before you get the option of full clearing a dungeon.
Yeah, Key Sanity can be a bit of a slower burn starting out, but once it gets going, it gets going.
Yep, Vortex almost saving quitting out of the race game check there. It says, wait a minute, that's a small key, I'm going to need that. Unless he doesn't, but you don't want to take that chance.
Yeah, because it could be that small for all we know. Or Castle Tower key.
Oh, it is the Desert Palace small.
That could definitely be useful. It opens up 2 checks on the eastern side of Desert Palace, so could be something.
Yep, and because of key logic, it is logically required for the boss.
Ah, yes, that pesky key logic.
It looks like Vortex is heading to Mini Moldorm Cave first, possibly planning to loop back through the dam into Agina.
I like the little touch on the Game Boy Link sprite where when he takes damage, it just kind of like tumbles backwards. I don't know why, I like the animation.
And there's a hook shot there in Mini Moldorm Cave. Alongside an Ice Palace small and some garbage, although that fourth heart piece for the fill-up, not bad when you might be considering heading towards some crabs.
Yeah, crabs inexplicably some of the hardest hitting enemies in the game. I think they're the hardest hitting enemies in the light world. Correct me if I'm wrong.
They've got to be up there, and certainly you tend to encounter them pretty early when you're rocking, in this case, 4 hearts, and they've got those unpredictable movement patterns. And yeah, Vortex is pretty happy that he got that fill up. Oh, barely dodges the crab. Okay, he's good. He's all right. Woohoo.
That was some risky business.
Rewarded with a bottle there in Ice Rod Cave. He does have Zora money. Looks like he's going to go ahead and set up a water walk here.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah, he's taking no chances here. Got that hook shot out to stun crabs.
I think those Zora fireballs are going to be one-hit kills too at this point, so definitely gotta play it safe.
Yep. Nothing much on the island. Meanwhile, Fry, cleaning up Mini Moldorm Cave there, was having a little bit of trouble with his bow and bomb strats. Sometimes those Mini Moldorms just don't want to cooperate. And that's a flipper-locked Tower of Hera small in the Waterfall Fairy alongside, ooh, you love to see it, a safety fairy right when you're at 1 heart.
I gotta say, like you're talking about Moldorms being uncooperative. I think next to Dead Rocks, Mini Moldorms might be the most uncooperative enemy in this game.
Yeah, once again, those unpredictable movement patterns and that placement right in the beginning of the game where it's a little rough with only bombs and arrows to kill him with. And the big green fish out here scamming just like always.
Well, like Zora is always useless until it's not. Until he's hiding Can Samaria or something.
Meanwhile, Uncle's got our cape as Vortexofdoom is in the front of escape play here.
Ooh, Podbig.
You know, I never thought of doing a hook speed in the Uncle Tunnel there, like Vortex just did, but seems like it would save you some time if you happen to have the means of doing so.
Yeah, it feels like the scenario just does not come up very often. Because I'm usually I'm an Uncle router, so that almost never comes up for me.
Vortex going straight to Dark Cross here. No sword to light his way, let alone a lamp, so he's making do with boots puffs and hookshot to navigate these dark rooms.
I like it. It shows some good game knowledge.
Yeah, good presence of mind, too. Uses the cape to get safely through the snake hallway here in a pretty low health situation. He is one hit from his demise, though. All that for 20 bucks.
And a perfectly timed... Oh, no, the fairy.
Yep, he was getting out the mirror. He knew he needed to mirror, not Death Warp, but something hit him in the dark, and cooling dark room, Saltyphry is headed for an out-of-logic mountain play.
See, he would have access to Hera.
Yeah, it's not all in logic without the Hera Big, or a fire source for the basement, but with that hook shot, he can Herapod his way up there, and when you've got a clearable dungeon... Oh, or he could find the big key right there on Old Man.
That's some good stuff. So if he can find a lantern or a fire rod up here on Death Mountain, he can knock out Hera in just one go.
Meanwhile, Vortex is continuing his escape play. This also technically out of logic, because if you were of a mind to do so for some reason, you could steal this key, turn all the way back around, and waste it in the back of escape.
There's the Titan's mitts. I mean, we're only 13 minutes into this game, so it's still too early to tell, but Mountain's looking like the play so far.
Yep, of course, that also raises the logic question of what is locking those Titan's mitts logically. Is it the lamp or is it the flute?
Yeah, but always breaking logic. Always take care to consider what would lead up to that point, because you can get yourself tangled in a big old web if you break logic haphazardly.
Yep, can wind up wasting time you don't need to, but Vortex is wasting no time grabbing that first chest. Ooh, and that's the flute! They're in Aga Tower.
Alright, so that'll give him logical access to everything Fry is doing right now.
I'm trying to remember. Remind me where he found that cape, because I don't think Fry has it yet.
Uncle.
That's right. So that's handy. The key to that flute was right there on the doorstep, and that's going to put that mountain climb into logic. I imagine that might be what Vortex is thinking pretty soon here.
Yeah, I would imagine with the mirror and the hookshot, Mountain's a very appealing play.
Yeah, the big question mark, it occurs to me, mountain-wise, is where are you going to find a sword or a hammer? Because right now you can get to Moldorm, and you're just going to feel like a goon once you get there.
I guess you have to defeat Moldorm, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, sooner or later.
Maybe it's like a bird watching thing. You can just say you saw all the bosses and get by on that. Alright, so I'm thinking the only checks on Death Mountain, since they have the Titan's Mints now, they don't have the Moon Pearl, so I guess they could Super Bunny, but that would be it in Dark Death Mountain.
Yep, of course, paired with the flute that Vortex found, those Titan's Mitts will open up, could it be the fabled Moon Pearl on Checkerboard Cave?
We can only hope. Moon Pearl in mirror access deserts also fun. I've had that happen once or twice.
Oh yeah, and especially with that desert small, that opens up some pretty good checkage in that area. But first, on Fry's side, we're gonna see what secrets Tower of Hera holds, and that's a French Vanilla Moon Pearl.
That is borderline, like, that's vanilla adjacent.
Yep, also the Ice Palace Big, I believe, there in the Hera Big Chest, and unfortunately Fry also learning you can't Death Warp with a fairy. Doesn't work like that.
I think Fry is going to be showing us Super Bunny.
Certainly seems to be on his mind, and you know, he can get Hookshot Cave here too, so yeah, that seems like a pretty good play.
Oh yeah, I forgot the Moon Pearl. We made a big deal of that, I already forgot it.
So this is, of course, AD keys. Big keys, small keys, maps, and compasses are shuffled in the wild, meaning we can't get Hera Basement right now with no fire source, but we cannot count it out either. That's going to be an orphan check for both of our runners.
Yeah, and you just, in my case, you orphan a check like that, and you spend the entire seed praying it doesn't come back to bite you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly too hard of an orphan, considering that you're gonna have to go back to Hera to kill Moldorm sooner or later, so you route it in on the return trip if it seems like a good idea at the time.
That's true, that's not a, there are definitely worse orphans.
And there's the flippers in Hookshot Cave.
So that puts that Hera small in logic now, right? That was the key we found?
I believe so.
So yeah, that mountain's pretty neatly tied up logic-wise now. At least on Vortex's side.
Yep, meanwhile, Vortex finding the ice rod there in the desert area, and unfortunately pieced out of the mountain before finding that French Vanilla Moon Pearl. So Vortex just signed himself up for at least one more mountain climb than he needed to do strictly.
Meanwhile, Fry's going to put his Moon Pearl to work and check the Skullwoods. No, never mind, Village of Outcasts.
Yeah, he's got that Thieves Town big key, but once again, I'm fairly sure that anything that's going to damage blind here. And that was a lamp over on the right side of Desert.
That would open him up to finish Desert now, wouldn't it? No, he's still in the Desert big. Nice Super Bunny execution there.
Yep, Vortex trying to line up this Super Bunny technique, hitting the mirror on the same frame that you enter the door. Yep, and he is now fully in Super Bunny state.
Oh, Brad in chat brings up a good point. Vortex, since he took the flutes, didn't go and rescue the old man. So he didn't have the Hera Big, which didn't push him into Hera.
Ah, that makes sense. Yeah, so yes, logically, the seed does expect you to go down to desert, grab the lamp, and then head back up, which, to be fair, isn't that much of a time sink with the flute to get up and down quickly.
Meanwhile, Fry is giving us a look at Thieves Town. Should be able to clear everything except that big chest.
Well, and the boss, he still doesn't have a sword, still doesn't have a hammer, doesn't even have a blue or red cane.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing I'm not racing this, because I seem to keep forgetting that ever important that they have to kill the bosses.
Well, Blind's one of those bosses that by now you usually have something, but our stopping power has just been rough today.
Okay, so now Vortex is going to get rescue old man, get his Hera, likely go into Tower of Hera, and that should put a nice bow on it.
Yep, meanwhile Fry checking the first 4 of Thieves Town and opting to peace out after that. It's, yeah, 5 Heart Thieves Town is a little rough. Blue Mail helps some, but do you really want to go through all that, not be able to beat the boss and orphan the item in Big Chest? I sort of like the play here on Fry's side.
Yeah, because, you know, that ever-important blind script, you go through all the trouble of 99% clearing the dungeon, trigger the blind fight, peace out. You're going to have to go through that fight the actual intended way.
Yeah, that's true too. Don't get to follow the script, have to actually think about your blind fight. Who wants to do that?
Not me. Meanwhile, Fry is rescuing Jeremiah. Looks like he's going to just go straight for the... I guess he'll take the chest on the tour.
Yep, makes a lot of sense. He can get Cave 45 on the way, grab Stumpy, and take this right down to Hype Cave before having to make too many hard decisions.
Yeah, that's a good autopilot route. It pretty much speaks for itself. So Vortex is going to show us a check we did not see from Fry, which will be the coffee break room key in the Hera basement.
Yep, even if it does wind up being progression, fortunately for Fry, he will have the chance to pick that up a little later when he returns to kill Moldorm, but how long will that take is the question.
That looks like another pod small. Always nice to have.
Yep, they're in Cave 45. And, you know, I like the decision on Vortex's part to do this before climbing the Tower of Hera. Just on the off chance it's a hammer or a sword, that could be a little time save for him. But it's just a piece of heart.
As it's often wont to do.
Nothing much on Smith Chain. And it looks like we might get a peek at the first chest in Swamp Palace. This is one that it's easy to overlook, especially if you're not used to Key Sanity. Takes a couple screen transitions to get in there, but if it's something important, you don't want to leave it behind when you don't have a hammer, and it would take you so long to get back here.
Yeah, this is an easy one to just put off due to sheer habit.
I wouldn't necessarily hate doing Hype Cave first, just on the off chance you find the Swamp Small in there, but it's just a map.
The map to this dungeon.
Yep, which that is the other thing that maps do now, as of the latest hot patch, is tells us that Swamp is a crystal dungeon, and it shows you that without even doing a map check if you are in that particular dungeon.
That's a nice little touch. I like that.
Yeah, nice little convenience feature. My understanding is the idea was because Pendant and Crystal Dungeon music is different in the vanilla game and in certain MSU packs. That was just to kind of even the playing field, and there's a sword in Hype Cave.
Hype Cave delivers.
And it looks like Fry's going to be crossing the Hylia Island here and heading into East Dark World. I'll be interested to see whether he decides to peek his nose into Pod or continue on to Catfish. He does have the bow for the bow-locked side of Pod, so that's 3 checks before he has to even spend any keys.
Well, looks like he's heading Hobo.
Oh, yeah, I'd forgotten about Hobo, but this is a great place to route it in without spending a lot of time. Meanwhile, speaking of Eastern Pod area, Vortex just picked up his flippers from Hookshot Cave, and he's going to head into Eastern, so that'll be a new check over on the right-hand side here. A few new checks.
Yeah, looks like you were right the first time. Looks like Fry is heading north. Or west.
Yeah, could still decide to check Pyramid and then double back for Pod. And actually, no, he's getting his mirror out. He's going to head into Escape and grab himself a flute here. Oop, and while my eyes were glued on the left-hand side, our eagle-eyed chat and trackers saw that fire rod here in Eastern. That's over on Vortex's side.
Nice, so... Well, despite the fact that we're absent every single key for Turok, and still no melee weapon for Vortex, the basic tools are there to fight Trinex.
Yep, he's going to need at least 3 small keys, a big key, and a red cane, along with, looks like an ether medallion to get in there, so quite a ways away.
And then, depending on Lady Luck, you might be able to chain Hera and Turok together.
Yep, but meanwhile, Vortex is beating feet through this fully clearable and, I believe, entirely in logic Eastern Palace.
Yeah, I believe so. He's got that lantern, he's got the bow. Don't need a sword for Armos.
Nope, even if you somehow manage to dump every arrow in your inventory, you could finish him off with that red boomerang if you really needed to.
Was that what would have been boots on Vortex's side?
I'm fairly sure you're correct. That was a green 20, and the only item removed from this item pool. is in fact the boots.
And Vortex is just cleaving right through Eastern Palace.
Yep, this is a pretty autopilot dungeon for a lot of us. No strats that are significantly different than anything you do in NMG. And actually a little bit faster, because in NMG you'd need to wait until after this dungeon to get the boots.
I didn't see what dark room Fry went into.
Fry's heading to Dark Cross. He's going to get himself a helping of disappointment and then hopefully remember to go into Aga Tower for that flute.
Alright, there's our Ganon Tower Big Key on Ormos.
Always nice to know that there's one thing you won't have to search for.
So that puts our first dungeon clear on the board.
It does. Meanwhile, Fry's gonna go grab his flute, and that was a Green Pendant Ice Palace, it looks like. Of course, this is all dungeons, so you know you're gonna have to do Ice Palace sooner or later, but if you have the means to get it, at least you know that that's one more check that it's hiding. And it looked like Fry was considering a save and quit after finding that flute there, thinks better of it, and turns back for his portal. Might be opting to go either pod or catfish before turning in that flute.
I like it. I think with 2 keys, I mean he could rush Helma if he. No hammer, never mind. I got ahead of myself.
Yep. Meanwhile, Vortex is in the Dark Village area, and he's really gotta be missing that sword right now. With that, he could knock out both Blind and Moth. Without it, those are going to be out of his reach until he hits up Hype Cave.
Or we didn't see the back of Thieves. We'll see if Vortex opts to gamble the back of Thieves, he could be rewarded with a sword or hammer.
Yeah, you never know. We didn't see the front of Skull either, so it's possible. Depends on how hard he wants to commit to this play. But meanwhile, Fry's given us our first look at the inside of Pod.
Oh, there's our first cast tower key. So that puts the second item in Aga's Tower in log. Well,
yeah, combined with the lamp. Combined with the lamp that Vortex found in Desert, it does, yeah.
It looks like Vortex is not going to commit to that back of escape, which I get. That's or not back of escape, back of Thieves Town, and that which makes sense. That is a very risky play for. Was it 2 checks?
Yeah, just the with no hammer or small key for the big chest and no ability to kill Blind. 2 checks. This is the odds-on play, and especially with Flute and Titan's Mitts, it's easy enough to get back to whenever you want. Hey, and speaking of swords, there's one in the bow-locked side of Pod, so that puts Fry on Master. Pod also yielding up the mushroom, so a little fetch quest for you. And Fry is heading into the back of Pod, using up his last small key. Technically out of logic, but you've come this far. Are you going to let logic stop you? I wouldn't. And that has the Ether Medallion there in the back of Pod. We're gonna need that to get into Turtle Rock sooner or later. And we were just talking before the race about how much more important that hammer yump is here. In this Key Sanity mode, we're about to see if it pays off for Fry with 3 additional out-of-logic checks. And so far, just a piece of heart and the powder. There in the dark room of Pod. 2 pieces of heart and powder, so a little convenience. And 1 more check. Looks like Fry's going to continue on into Eastern Palace. I wouldn't have blamed him for doing this first, hoping maybe to find something to help him out in Pod, but doing it this way is going to save him a couple of mirror transitions, so I don't hate this either. Vortexofdoom heading into Palace. Not going to find anything too exciting in here. Fry did also find the swamp map in the first chest of swamp. Vortex will be happy to find his first sword in Hype Cave, though. And as these 2 runners kind of cover each other's tracks a little, seems like a good time to remind everybody to give them a follow. They're out here putting on a great show in this relatively brain-bending mode of ours here. Fry pulling out another Pod Small out of the big chest of Eastern. So he'll be able to, should he so desire, poke his head back into Pod before leaving this area and grab 1 more check, maybe vanilla big key chest isn't that far out of his way. Of course, he could also decide to save it for the Helma fight. And it looks like we're getting a shovel check here from Vortex. I don't believe we saw this from Fry. It's just arrows, though. Vortex taking the opportunity to fill up his bottles with some blue goo. Might be attempting something dangerous here. Or maybe just queuing up some safe later. Looks like he's going to head into Skullwoods here. I like that decision to pick up some safeties. Magic management is going to be a little bit of an issue here. With a fighter sword moth fight, you want to have the option of just dumping with your fire rod if you feel like you need to. And this is going to be our first look into the front of Skullwoods. Indeed, the front or the back of Skullwoods here. And that's a Turtle Rock Big Key in the first chest. This is a dungeon that you often see done back to front, but here in Key Sanity, you really can't afford to skip any checks, so doing it front to back makes a lot of sense. Meanwhile, Fry just grabbed his GT Big Key and Crystal out of Eastern. Let's see if he pokes his head back into Pod and gives us a new check. Very nice, quick, efficient front of Skull from Vortex there. And it looks like we will be seeing at least one more pod check. Oh, yep. As chat suggested might be the case, Fry is queuing up an intentional death here so that he can save and save scum this last pod small in his inventory. Love the game knowledge, love the presence of mind here. This is not something that would even occur to me, but then I don't have nearly the experience with Key Sanity modes that these two runners do. And near simultaneous new checks, just a map and a heart container. And yep, Fry's gonna go ahead and save scum that, saving himself the small key in case he needs it for a Helma fight later. And Electric Goo in chat was asking about the King's Tomb. We're about to see it for the first time here. Over on the left-hand side of the screen where Fry lives. Just $5. Meanwhile, upcoming moth fight over here on the right. Vortex has plenty of safety in his bottles. It just depends on how risky he wants to be before using it. He does have the blue mail for a little extra safety. Oh, he's... Oh, my heart was in my throat there. He did pull that bottle out in time, and he should be in good shape for the rest of this moth fight. Just a GT small, but that is another crystal. Vortex's second crystal of the game, and third crystal overall. I believe Fry also got Armos Knights. Looks like Fry's going to be following Vortex's footsteps towards the moth fight. He's going to have a Master Sword to his name, which should make that a little easier for him. Meanwhile, Vortex is walking out of Skullwoods. Looks like we might see some North Dark World stuff from him. Could be our first look at Catfish, our first look at Bumper Ledge, rather. Our first look at Graveyard Ledge. Nothing good on Bumper Ledge. Let's see what we got on Graveyard Ledge here, though, from Vortexofdoom. It's a small key. Ooh, it's the other castle tower small. Nice find. Meanwhile, Fry's in his moth fight. A little lower on magic, but he's got that master sword. And the moth goes down for the second time today. So we'll see if anybody in chat can remind me where that first castle tower small is. I believe each of our runners only has one at this point. Royale with Cheese says the first one was in Pod. Virgil Dante confirms. Thanks, guys. I'm hoping my co-commentator Lucian Greeth manages to resolve whatever technical issues are keeping him away. But until then, I'm what you've got. So thanks for keeping me honest. Let's see what Catfish has for us today. Whole bunch of nothing, in fact, as it turns out. And Fry is also walking out of Skullwoods after his victorious moth fight. Oh, and he's heading back into Thieves Town area. So he's going to be leaving that second castle tower small behind for now. Oh, he's going into Thieves Town proper. Makes a lot of sense. He's got the ability to kill the boss, at least, with no hammer. He's going to be leaving an item behind, but I don't hate the play. When you've got the means to gather that dungeon prize, it tends to make sense to do it. Meanwhile, Vortex is poking his head back into Castle Tower. Looks like he's going after that second item. And it looks like Fry ran into a glitch that can happen if you decape while you are in a door state. It can heck you up a little bit. All you've got to do is flash that cape off and on again to correct it. And he goes ahead and gets it there. Meanwhile, it looks like Vortex, he's going to go ahead and get the hobo and then presumably poke his head back into Pod after that. Or rather, into Pod for the first time. He'll get his Master Sword. He will get that other Castle Tower small that he wishes he had just a moment ago. As Fry gives us our first look in the Maiden Cell here in Thieves Town. Just a trio of blueberries. But the maiden's important too. She's a pretty lady. Unless she's a horrible monster, but probably just a pretty lady. Guys, I'm so sorry. It turns out the pretty lady was in fact a horrible monster. Fry narrowly missing the blind script there, but recovers nicely. For 50 bucks and another crystal. Couple of frustration slashes there from Vortex after getting that second castle tower small. I don't blame him. You dipped castle tower twice. That first time was unavoidable, but the second time would have been nice to go clear it out all at once. And Fry's heading south after his blind victory. So he's going to be leaving that second castle tower small there in the graveyard ledge for the moment. Of course, he's got the hook shot. Hopefully he can pick it up later with maybe head over there, route it in with a trip to Catfish. And yeah, Vortex heading into pod with the map in hand reveals that it is in fact a pendant pod. I'm also noticing that Vortex has all four Tower of Hera, all four Turtle Rock smalls, as well as the big, as he collects the ether for entrance. All he needs is the red cane, and that's going to be a full clearable T-Rock. That's got to be an attractive proposition. Oh, thank you, chat. You are correct. We're still missing the hammer. So once we can get in there, we can do all the things in there, but, you know, helps if you're able to get in there. But yeah, that pendant pod has to make you wonder, how much should I even be worried about what is in the chests that are logically locked by 6 keys, which could be hiding in GT for all I know. And yes, thanks to some early Super Bunny shenanigans, we did see Mire Shed, and we did see, thanks to a mirror and early Titans and Flute, we did see Checkerboard Cave as well. Vortex of Doom grabbing another pod small behind Mushroom there. Vortex of Doom gonna give us the Aga one play. As meanwhile, Fry is going to climb Tower of Hera and show us what a Moldorm fight looks like when you have a sword, what with to kill him. And yes, chat pointing out that that pod small behind the mushroom right after you leave it feels a little rude. But with pod being a pendant, yeah, now you have 4 pod smalls, but the only things that small that you just got, practically speaking, the only things they actually open up are logically locked by 6 keys anyway. And those other 2 might just be in GT, so maybe it's okay. Maybe we're fine, you don't know. We do get a crystal out of our Moldorm fight over on Fry's side.
Alright, I am back. I apologize profusely for that.
No worries. We've just been dealing with rude pod small key situations over here. We do have the second castle tower small and graveyard ledge, so Vortex is giving us our Aga play here.
Okay, I got the streams reloaded. So, looks like we killed Moth and Blind. Well, Fry's killed Moth. Or Blind.
Yep, we've had moth kills on both sides, and the big question mark still is, where is that hammer hiding?
I see we've got ice, small, and big. Have we made dips into Ice Palace yet?
We have not seen the inside of Ice Palace yet. Of course, that's a bit of a... I mean, you do sometimes see that hammer and, you know, just the first chest of ice just chilling there mocking you. It could be there, but if it's not, it's a feels bad moment.
Yeah, that's one of those, you know, you take the time to try to gamble it. If it's there, you feel like an absolute champion. If it's not, that's a bad time. Okay, so I see Vortex has his Master Sword.
Yep, and yeah, as chat's pointing out, and it looks like it might be on Vortex's mind too, eventually you start running out of better options than a hammerless ice dip, but nope, Vortex is heading through the portal.
Gonna check Lumberjack?
Yeah, I could have sworn one of these guys had checked it early, but I do not recall what it was. Yeah, if you haven't checked it already, do the blind pull. When are you going to get back here? Hey, it's another sword. It's not the progression that you want, but there are worse things to find.
Yeah, it's nice, but it doesn't solve the immediate problem, does it?
Nope, and Vortex is fluting back to 8. Looks like ice might be on the menu after all.
Well, we'll see if this is validation for me or not. How deep into pod have both players checked?
We got a save scum to Vanilla Big Key Chest, which was nothing, and then we got basement, dark rooms, everything else except for Helma at this point, although we're also noticing that Pod is a pendant, so Helma is locked not only for practical purposes by the hammer, but also logically by 6 smalls, some of which could be in GT.
That's a fun time. Oh, we're doing this without Kane, too, so we're getting the good old-fashioned Ice Palace bomb jump.
Yep, I love Icebreaker, but I also love the fact that it has not removed the need to learn Ice Palace bomb jump, because guess what? If I had to learn it, so do the rest of you.
Yeah, it's one of those tricks that, like, it's fallen out of favor, I guess, in the quote-unquote meta, but it's always good to have in your back pocket, because you never know when you need it.
Yep, obviously you would rather do this the quick way if you have the option, but you know, sometimes you find the red cane in here.
Yeah, I remember one seed I found the Kansas Mario on the opposite side of where you would Icebreaker, and that just feels like the ultimate screw you from the game.
Oh yeah, that's always nice and rude. Of course, it could be here, but that spot is logically locked by the hammer because of key logic, I believe.
Oh, there it is!
Or we could just find the hammer right there.
Who doesn't love Hammer and Ice Palace? And the cane!
Wow, well, at least you know the other guy won't be able to Icebreaker. At least you know that much. Meanwhile, Fry has made his way to Graveyard Ledge and found that second castle tower small.
Yeah, Ice Palace has got the goods. So item-wise, that just puts us, that puts Vortex Quake Medallion from Go Mode, right? Item-wise?
I believe so. That also makes Turtle Rock full clearable, including Mimic Caves. That's got to be a very attractive destination for Vortex coming up.
Yep, you can knock out Moldorm while you're at it, too.
So looking at what we need for true Go Mode, we've yet to see the Desert Big. We're gonna need the Swamp Small. And is that it? Am I missing something?
No, that appears to be it for full clear. Well, not full clear.
Oh yeah,
and bosses.
And Quake for Meyer. Yes, thank you, chat.
Oh, God, wow. Ice Palace.
Yep, nice butter sword in ice. It's you don't need it, but when it's right along your route, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, ice is very nice.
Yep, and let's see. Looking at the pendant layout, if Meyer is that third pendant, then that Quake Medallion could wind up being in GT. We know that Swamp is a crystal, and we know that Desert's a crystal, so yeah. That's the only Go Mode item that could have us looking in GT Basement. And oh, I'm sorry, I blinked. Was that a Cold Stare fight?
Yeah, I mean, allegedly, you know, it could have been. It's like Schrodinger's boss. It may or may not exist.
It's the black hole of boss fights. We can't detect it. We can only infer its presence. Vortex not going to worry about that green pendant turn in for the moment. He's got a Death Wish for Trinex.
Yeah, you know, Turtlerock's got plenty of items. Yeah, it's full clearable. Go for it. Yeah, that's a good point from Incoherent in the chat. Hope you pick up that 5th pod small in Turtle Rock, or maybe on Moldorm, and that just makes it nice and neat for that green pendant turn in.
Yeah, absolutely. Under different circumstances, it's always nice when you can go straight from Turtle Rock to GT, but this seed is screaming at you, go to Turtle Rock. There's so many checks in there, it's very unlikely that you're able to avoid this mountain climb.
Oh, okay, Moldorm, I see. Fry killed Moldorm.
Yeah, I don't believe he was anything. We have not seen the inside of Spike Cave yet. That might be a play for Vortex after he's done with his Turtle Rock.
And so I'm seeing 4 small keys, so yeah, we are good to go for Turtle Rock.
Yep, and it is a Crystal Turtle Rock, so I believe by process of elimination that does make Meyer that last pendant. And that's Bombos, not the medallion that we want.
Yeah, especially after Cold Stare, too. It's pretty much useless at this point. Well, while we got a little bit of a lull in the action, make sure to give both racers, Fry and Vortexofdoom, a follow. They're putting on a great show for us tonight on Restream.
Absolutely. Here in this quarterfinal match, it's always very educational seeing the approach of a runner who knows this game so well. That was the Thieves Town Small. Just, you know, just sitting right there, just mocking you. What if your progression's there?
Yeah, that's to find Thieves Small this deep in the seed. That can be that's gonna be a hard last location.
Yeah, your big consolation there is it's not like my opponent could have found that any earlier.
Yeah, sometimes you can like talk yourself into thinking like, oh, you know, maybe my opponent made this play. Like that's just one of those bad placements. Like there's no way your opponent found that much sooner than you did.
Yeah, and actually, as Virgilante rightly points out in chat, Vortex has not gone into the back of Thieves Town yet, so if that does wind up being something like Quake or the Desert Big, that is huge for Vortex. And he's already looking to be ahead in this race. It's hard to make too many definitive calls about who's ahead in an 80 keys seed until go mode is hit, but
yeah, key modes can be pretty fickle in how quickly momentum can shift.
Yeah, in a non-key mode, you hope that it's not an ice rod hunt. In a keys mode, the only question is, which ice rod will you be hunting for? There's like 5 of them.
Yeah, it's very much a pick your poison kind of thing. Oh, there's the Quake!
Ooh. So at this point, we are looking for the Desert Big and the Swamp Small, and we know we're not going to find either of them in GT. So no matter what else happens, that GT is going to be a nice quick climb.
It's always a nice consolation prize for all the hoops you have to jump through to get a seed like this.
Yep. Meanwhile, looks like Fry's showing us something new. It's the Pyramid Fairy check.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I was about to ask if this is new or not.
I have not been paying close attention to which crystals were the reds.
Your guess will be a lot better than mine, because I was gone for like 15 minutes.
Well, it matters not, because Pyramid Fairy's a big ball of nothing.
We got the compass telling about the dungeon we're going to be here in like a minute or two.
Ah, finally. And as Vortex nears his Trinex fight, it looks like Fry is entering Ice Palace, where he's going to find all the goodies. Hammer, red cane, probably other stuff.
Nice shiny sword.
Yep, I think that last Turtle Rock Small was in here.
And Vortex is just disrespecting these bosses.
Yeah, that Butter Sword. Trinex is already a scripted fight, but with Butter Sword, it's scripted and quick and easy.
Just no regard for these bosses' well-being.
Yep, Vortex with his slash is saying, "Hurry up and explode, you dumb turtle snake! I got places to be."
Yeah, that's Trinex's final hurrah. It's like I'm gonna slightly inconvenience you for a few extra seconds.
And it looks like Vortex has Spike Cafe on his mind. It's the cafe where the drinks are always spiked.
I like that.
And yep, he's also got Tower of Hera to finish cleaning out before that happens, and then after that, you got Thieves Town, you've got Mire, both full clearable. The world's kind of his oyster here.
Yeah, here's a thought. If the book gives us the gift of literacy, how are we reading all these maps?
I mean, I quote-unquote read picture books as a kid. I imagine it's like that.
That's true. It's just it's a big picture of the boss on it. And a picture of a crystal or a pendant.
Moldorm goes down quick and easy, and chat is speculating on where does Vortex go after this. Personally, I like the Thieves Town play. You're hoping to find the Desert Big to route that in with Mire, or even to hit Go Mode, and being able to Go Mode Mire would be huge.
Yeah, I agree with the Thieves Town play. It's clearable. There's, let's see, 1, 2, 3 checks.
Yeah, and there's nothing that you can really route with it. There's nothing you can find that would make it more convenient. Ooh, and speaking of that Desert Big...
Alright, we're 1 key away from Go Mode.
Yep, we are just looking for that Swamp Small at this point.
Also, like I said, I called it at the beginning of the seed. It was Swamp Small.
You did, in fact. I was calling Eastern big, and that showed up pretty early.
If only my guesses in the actual game are as good.
Oh yeah, it's so much easier to to make all the right moves and all the right guesses when you're not the one playing.
Yeah, it looks like Vortex is going to go for that Thieves, because, like, it's there.
Yeah, I still like this play because we know he's, well, actually we don't because we haven't seen Thieves' big chest yet, but if he should happen to find that swamp small, then that'll save him some time go-moding Meyer. Meanwhile, Fry's about to drop into his cold stare fight.
Vortex nails the God Pixel on the Hellway.
Ooh, very nice.
Always a nice little treat to see. Because it's not just about lining up the right pixel, it's also you gotta kind of rely on the enemies agreeing with you.
Yeah, it's that nice little confluence of skill and RNG coming together for a nice little moment.
Well, RNG and I have not been on speaking terms since the 90s when Mario Party came out.
Oh, we don't talk about that game here.
I'm 100% with you. I support that.
One of these days that blister on my palm's gonna heal, but it is not this day.
Well, my relationship with my friends and family will never heal from that game. Alright, let's see what we get from that big chest.
Oh, it's a small... It's the swamp small! Oh, that... I hope we're all Vortex fans in the chat, because that just about clinches it for Vortex. That's gonna be a hard last location for Fry, and he's already behind.
Yeah, that is... You know, you never want to say that's it, but that's pretty close to it.
Yeah, it would take some serious missteps on Vortex's part to lose this race at this point.
You know what I've always liked about Rescuing Blind? The sheer commitment to the bit. If you fall off the conveyor belts in the room to the west of it, Blind will jump right off that ledge with you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Blind is here for it.
Turns out Blind is a method actor.
What if Blind is not just disguised as a maiden? What if Blind is in that deep cover and believes she's a maiden?
It's I've heard of some like actors they do some real deep I don't know the exact term I'm looking for is, but I think like I think I heard like Jim Carrey once got like real deep into a character he played once, kind of caused me to get depressed.
Oh yeah, we're talking some Heretics of Dune, Tleilaxu face dancer stuff going on here. That's a deep cut, kids.
Alright, we're gonna go ahead and just knock out Swamp Palace. It's open, it's there. We can just knock out Swamp and Desert, or Desert and Mire at once. I guess Mire's a type of swamp.
I'm sure somebody somewhere could explain the difference between a mire and a swamp to me, but please don't. I'm not actually interested. But yeah, Vortex is going to be able to go mode both mire and swamp, two dungeons that are relatively lengthy if you have to search for items, but you can just fly right through them if you're just beelining the boss. And yeah, in terms of checks for safety, there's not much that could enough to be worth looking for. At silvers would be nice. That's about it.
Yeah, silvers are half magic.
Chat rightly pointing out that we are going to need to clean up Pod at some point.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. And all the desert and swamp pipe. Oh, not even bothering to check the chests.
Yeah, well, no big...
yeah.
Yeah.
I use this key.
Yeah, come to think of it, was not paying close attention to how many Pod Smalls Vortex spent where. Did he save one for the Helma fight, or does he still need to look for one?
That'd be a question for chat or the trackers. I could not tell you.
Oh, that's right. He did get one from Shroom. Yeah, so he's good there. He is in not logical go mode, but pod key logic, blah, whatever. He's in go mode. It's fine.
Put an Argus through the grinder.
Oh, man. Oh, just misses the 0 cycle.
Yeah, that's really the best Argus could hope for, was to slightly inconvenience Vortex.
Fry is heading through Turtle Rock, quite a few dungeons behind, and with very little hope of catching up. Looks like Vortex is going to go ahead and knock out Pod before heading to Mire and Desert and cleaning up this seed.
Yeah, at this point, for Vortex, the world's his oyster. He can do this in whatever order he likes.
Yeah, there's no particular plus or minus to doing it. I suppose if you stumble on silvers, that makes the Vidi fight a little faster, but other than that, do it in whatever order. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, silvers, but like you also got the butter sword and cape. You can just dash right through the eyes.
Yeah, that's very true as well.
One way or another, Vidi's just gonna melt.
Yeah, I think Silver's is slightly faster than Gold Sword and Cape, but not by enough to be worth worrying about. Man, just clocking those mimics, no respect.
It needs to form a support group for the bosses and enemies victimized by Vortex and the Seed.
Yep. Well, Fry can take out some of his frustrations against Trinex here. This will be a nice, quick, easy Gold Sword fight. I say that as Trinex jukes his way away from those fire rod shots. It's not gonna save you, Trinex. It's just gonna make Fry angrier.
Yeah, Fry gets his revenge. Like you said, nothing was going to save Trinex from Fry's wrath.
Meanwhile, Vortex putting cracks in that Helmasaur mask.
When you played this game as a kid, did you ever think Helmasaur could only be killed by bombs?
Never even occurred to me to try that hammer.
It's always fun, like, trying to see, like, how different people played this game as a kid. Like, when I was a kid, I thought the only way to beat Trinex was exclusively with Fire Rod and Ice Rod shots. No sword slashes, just, like, semi-automatic Fire Rod shots.
Oh, man. Yeah, see, I was one of those kids who used to peace out of Thieves Town, go get the level 3 sword, and come back and fight blind, because it's a better sword, so it must help, right?
Clearly. I mean, there's a 3 next to it. And correct me if I'm wrong on my math here, but I think 3 is bigger than 2. So, there you go. Better for blinds. I actually used to do overworld glitches back on the GBA version. The Death Mountain descent into the Graveyard Ledge area. I did that as a kid. It took watching an overworld glitch to see to trigger that memory.
Man, that was the best when you were a kid, stumbling on some glitch and then all of a sudden you're just ultra powerful. What did I do? I'm the best, apparently.
I don't have to worry about Argus or Helmasaur. WinFox470 in chat, yes, Vortex is in go mode. Fry is not.
Yep, that Swamp Palace small key, unfortunately, is hiding in the Thieves Town big chest, which Fry has pretty well orphaned at this point. I'm not saying that check is orphaned, but I would not be surprised if it dresses up like a bat and starts fighting crime.
Nope, looks like Vortex is going nope, never mind. I thought he was gonna use bow strats.
Now, don't take a death here, Vortex. If you do, then like 3 or 4 more deaths and you might be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, they can just kind of sneak up on you.
Fry heading into Misery Mire as Vortex is heading on his way out. He's gonna need to kill Landmos for his final crystal before he begins that final mountain climb.
Ooh, just misses that Wizrobe. But he got it. It's interesting. I'm seeing Vortex is busting out a lot of NMG strats. I usually do see him going live with NMG practice, so definitely putting that to good use.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I could stand to do if I wanted to tighten up my execution, is just grind out some NMG runs. But I don't wanna, is the thing.
I'm right there with you. I could, but also no.
Meanwhile, on Fry's side, he is full clearing Mire, and hard to blame him. That Swamp Small could be anywhere as far as he knows, but it's the one place that he's not going to check for quite a while yet.
And Vortex, again, showing a blatant disregard for boss safety.
And those Landmos have had it too easy too long. Deadrock's getting a couple of swipes at Vortex in passing, but they're not going to slow him down much. He's headed for that tower. He wants to knock out this AD Keys seed with a time that makes it look like Open 7-7.
Yeah, if I was in an Open 7-7, I was heading up to Ganon's tower at 1 hour 32 minutes, I'd be celebrating. But here we are in AD Keys, and it's all the same.
I'm a big fan of the AD Keys seed where you don't do AGA 1 last. It's, the one thing about this mode that I could do without is you're done with AGA Tower, you're done with Ganon's Tower, rather, you've done AGA 2, you just want to go kill that pig, and it's like, oh yeah, I got this other dumb slow dungeon first, though.
Sometimes it's fun to twist rando stuff into some actual kind of twisted lore. Like, how does AGA 1 exist after AGA 2?
Maybe all 3 of the AGA 2s were clones.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Holy crap, Vortex just putting on a master class and zipping through those mimic rooms like they're not even a thing.
Now, this is just my observation. I could be wrong. I feel like Vortex has done this once or twice.
I think you could be right.
Well, we'll ask him after the race is over. Get the answers to the burning questions from chat. Questions like, do you rando?
Do you even rando, bro?
But I think Vortex is also what place? He was what, top 16, top 32 in the SGL tournament recently.
Sounds right. He's definitely a very talented, storied runner. And looking ahead in the brackets here in the quarterfinals, the winner of this matchup will go on to face Humbug And then over on the other side of the bracket, we've got Gamachu facing Schultzer, and our other top-ranked V-runner, Vextifer, facing off against 2C. Could we see a Vortex versus Vextifer in the finals? Let's see it. I want to see it. Let's do it.
Oh, that's a Clash of the Titans right there. It's crazy to think, because I think Vextifer was just in the most recent Mentor tournament too. So like, see how crazy far he's come in just a year. It's absolutely insane. It's a masterclass of just learning this game.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, if anybody's watching this who's interested in learning this game from some people who know what they're talking about, look into that Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament. Keep your eye out for announcements in the coming months, because they usually do it in the summer.
People who know the game and me.
Yeah, if you've put in your reps, just playing some casually, just having fun, and you're wanting to really tighten up your game and get into the competitive scene, that's a great stepping stone to doing so.
Yeah, I can definitely vouch for it. I went through it last year, and just the amount that I learned in those 6 rounds is amazing. It's staggering. If anyone thinks like, oh yeah, I don't have the experience to compete on that, going into the Mentor tournament, I think Vextifer had one of the lowest times going into the Mentor tournament. I think he finished. I think he finished second place overall, and here he is in the quarterfinals of the AD Keys tourney. He's doing well in the main tournament.
All right. Well, that gauntlet was second nature to Vortex, and he's going to be dropping into his Ganon fight soon. Never did find those silvers, but that gold sword will make quick work of everyone's favorite big blue pig here.
Yeah, I doubt Vortex is concerned over the lack of silvers. Doing some dash pokes. God, just juking all those bats. That is beautiful.
Yup, it's fun to watch this. I was just listening to Speaking of Go Mode podcast. The latest episode featuring Sailor Nep is all about the ins and outs of doing the Ganon fight efficiently, and everything they talked about in that podcast episode is just on display right here.
Yeah, I remember them specifically talking about like the method of juking the bats if you're inside the ring, and that's exactly it in practice. Oh, and Silver Arrows were in GT the entire time. It's bold of Ganon to hide the only weapon that can hurt him in his basement.
I mean, does one of the monsters who works for Ganon not have a forge? Could he not melt those silver arrows down, make himself some jewelry? Guess not. I maybe would save him if he could.
Yeah, Vextifer doesn't care one way or the other. Or, sorry, Vortex, sorry. Both are the V. And in the, 10 seconds I've been talking, Ganon is dead.
Yes, indeed. Get your GGs in chat.
Right,
as Vortex crosses the finish line with an official race time of 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 11 seconds.
Which, Wow, we're 40 minutes, 11 seconds. That's not a bad time on an open 7-7. You know, here we are in 80 keys.
Yeah, that's a relatively fast seed, just knocked out by a master of routing and execution, and it looks like we're going to be able to get him in for an interview shortly here.
Fantastic.
GG's Vortex of Doom.
GG.
GG.
Saw you putting a lot of that NMG practice to work on those boss strats.
Yeah, some of them could have gone a little better, but yeah, endgame went very, very well. That was one of my couple hiccups in the gauntlet, but as far as GT goes, that was very, very good. Ganon went well, though Ganon was not at all cooperative to a sub 140.
Yeah, again, can be like that sometimes.
But yeah, I felt kind of bad early on. Not like my routing worked out fine, but I just didn't feel like I was playing well. Did a lot that I didn't need to do. The triple dip castle tower, even though I did the first dip, you know, pretty early, got the flute out of it. But down the stretch, like the one place I was hoping Swamp Small would be was Thieves' Big Chest, because I knew that going there before ice was a fairly attractive play. I considered it, but I was like, there's only one check in logic in the back of Thieves. Hammer has to be somewhere. You know, maybe it's just the small key in ice, but I didn't think so, and I didn't want to go back up for just Moldorm. So that was a gamble that I maybe shouldn't have made, but I didn't want to go up there without Hammer, or ideally Hammer and Kane. So yeah, like mid through end game worked out literally as well as it could have route wise. So
Yep, well, and if you're watching the stream, then you'll see that, yes, indeed, Fry did last location, or very nearly so. I haven't seen what else he's checked, but he did skip that check, and it wound up biting him. You both hit up the first 4 of Thieves Town pretty early and pieced out, but Fry went back before you did, and it wound up biting him.
yeah, I really tend to not like if I dip the front 4, I like to put off the back about as long as I can. I actually considered, I decided on spur of the moment to check the front 4 my first trip into Village, instead of just running down to Hype. And if I hadn't dipped the front 4, I probably would have just cleared it before Skullwoods when I fluted back there after Hype. Or maybe after Skull, but... So I lucked out there with that decision.
Well, I mean, like, once you got the Ice Palace, that was just the levee breaking. Like, just everything just fell neatly into place after Ice Palace.
Yeah. Another thing that could have gone badly is I almost was like, Spike Cave and Moldorm, like, do I really want to do that? Like, I got Thieves full clearable, I've got Mire full clearable, and I'm only looking for 2 things. So it was also really fortunate that I decided to clean up Spike and Hera. I didn't feel too bad putting off Hera, because I knew it was a guaranteed orphan. Like, I knew you couldn't get a sword for Moldorm before you got the pearl. So like, it was a forced double dip. So I wasn't in a huge hurry, but
Yeah, that early game was pretty stingy with the weaponry. I think at one point you had 3 bosses that you could reach, but not kill at that point.
Yeah. The one thing I feel really... Oh, I was going to say, the one thing I feel really good about that was not at all guaranteed was the single dip Eastern. Because I was probably headed there with or without the big key immediately after I got it. Oh, no, never mind. No, that was Hookshot Cave, wasn't it? So no, I was going to go Dark World. But I feel like Saha's Closet and Eastern instead of Unclearable Hera was also something that a lot of people might have done, and I might have done on another day. So
yeah, it's always hard to pass up the opportunity for how many chests are in Eastern and Key Sandy? I forgot. Is it 4 or 5?
I had 4 available with the lamp. All of them were in Logic. So, and then I hadn't been to Saha's Closet either, so that's 7 checks right there, but the other side of the mountain. I think it was actually like saving Old Man. I thought about like leaving and going to do Eastern and Saha, but I was like how much does a Hera double dip really hurt, even if there is a sword there? And like fluting away and back, like that costs most of the time of the actual double dip, as long as I can combine it with something else, which was my goal. Like that's why one of the reasons I didn't go back. So it was because I was saving Old Man since it came into Logic that I was like, let's just climb. Hope I'm not missing anything. I wasn't, luckily. So.
Over on Fry's side, he's getting ready to make that climb up to Ganon's Tower.
See, oh yeah, silvers were in the tower. It could have been one of the 3 other checks in the climb I didn't do. Likely just the basement.
Yeah, not that you needed it, but that nice little consolation heart at the very end was it's always nice.
Yeah, I would have liked to see like half magic. I'm happy I didn't see the silvers because I really like the silverless fight. But well, I guess I'm happy now that I was opening it either way. So if it was silvers, probably no one was missing them, or well, I guess a lot of people don't open that, but I usually do if I don't have silvers.
Yeah, it's pretty much a free check, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly of a mind to grab anything that's on the same screen as I am if I don't have silvers, but what do I know? I'm a coward.
I thought about Meyer Spike and Bridge chests, but I sort of decided against it because if it wasn't silvers, I was, slowing myself down significantly, because I didn't have like full NMG health to do all the damage boosts and stuff like that, so I just didn't want to leave myself in too much of a pickle on Biddy, and it turned out, well, I guess I could have powdered, but it's also slow. But yeah, other than that, like I cleared Swamp first because like silvers would be cool for my Iron Desert, and then did Helma, and then just did my Iron Desert before GT.
So do you and Fry have a Game 2 scheduled?
We do not. I'm pretty fortunate that I was actually able to do this one because I had PC issues crop up today that luckily, it's it kind of worked out, but it was not like I split late because I didn't have my brand new installation of Live Split set up to accept background input and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean it'll probably be evening or weekend next couple days. So.
I'll definitely be looking forward to that because it's an absolute masterclass of NMG performance today.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I've put a lot of time and effort into the game, and it's nice to have at least some of it work, which it did today. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. I really liked the mode. I had a lot of fun in the tourney. I didn't think I'd make it this far, but happy to still be here. Fry's a great player, so I feel pretty lucky to have taken one.
Alright, Fry is through the gauntlet, going heading up to Mold Room 2.
Yep, we'll see if he goes a little out of his way to give us a peek at whether those silvers might have been available after all.
A 50-50 chance, either they are or they're not.
Is that how probability works? Neat.
That's what usually I say to hype myself up on bad decision making. But I've been told by my friend who has a degree in mathematics that no, that is not how probability works.
One thing I was kind of afraid of this seed was potential pod single dip. Like if you orphaned that side of the Dark World, like if you did like Graveyard Ledge, King's Tomb kind of early, and didn't want to like take the North Loop over that way, like I had incentive to. When you start running out of options, you might choose Ice a little earlier. Gain like a minute there. But like Ice is going to be pretty late regardless, and you still have to avoid the Thieves Town trap, which is probably even less likely if you're considering Ice and Pod and a non-fully clearable Thieves. Like, at least it's clearable. So, I don't know. Definitely a couple pitfalls possible this seed.
Yeah, there's almost always some theoretical way the other guy could have routed things better that lives rent-free in the back of your head.
But yeah, by the end of the game, like by the time I dropped into Ganon, I was fairly confident that if any of those choices had been made, he'd be done already. So I felt a lot better by that point.
And what was the check you and I were talking about, Ben? Like that's one of those like you can feel pretty confident that your opponent fell into the same sequence of events. Was it the lava chest in Turtle Rock?
I think that might have been, was it Hammer and Ice? I don't know.
Yeah, the spike chest of Ice had the hammer. That was
yeah.
I felt pretty good getting it until I looked at my map and was like, oh, I really don't have a lot left. Like, it was not... I did not get that early. I got it pretty efficiently overall, other than the Castle Tower triple dip. I couldn't bring myself to skip the pyramid and go to pod, because like the second Castle Tower small is always in GT, right? So
Yeah, obviously.
Meanwhile, Fry has moved on to phase 4 of the Ganon fight. Should be over in just a minute or so. Ooh. It's been just a little too soon. Does Fry have potions?
he does have a blue, I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, the timing on those triple hits is rough. We were just talking as we were watching your Ganon fight, Vortex, that Go Mode Podcast has a new episode out today all about the Ganon fight and lots of things like that I could stand to tighten up.
Yeah, one... So I don't know if it was mentioned on the podcast. I have not listened yet, but I really like the Ganon fight. It's one of my favorite parts of the game. And Foxlisk has a tutorial for Phase 4 that definitely helped me tighten up my game.
Meanwhile, get your GGs in the chat for Fry, who just beat Ganon with the official time of 1:57:08. Or 1:57:11, according to the bot.
We'll see if we can get Fry in here for an interview in a moment.
Yeah, looks like we're getting him.
Welcome, Saltyphry. GG.
GG.
Thanks, GG.
GG. Yeah, nice swamp small.
Yeah, not much I could really do about that, I guess. Yeah, once I kind of last location that hammer, it was kind of just a slow line of last locations after that, so it was what it was. Going back to Meyer kind of felt terrible too, because when I was there, I only had one Meyer small key and only like 3 or 4 locations left in logic to check. So I was like, what are the chances that there's 2 Meyer small keys out there? And right after I leave there, I go and get the Meyer small key from Saha. And I'm like, oh god, am I really going to go to Thieves Town and get another Meyer small key there? And it's going to be over on that left side. So I kind of felt like I had to go back there at that point in time for 2 items versus 1 in Thieves Town. Either way, it didn't make a damn difference in the end. I'm guessing he got the hammer. I'm guessing he got the hammer way earlier than I did and didn't run into all the problems I did. I mean, assuming that's how it went down, right?
Well, I got it pretty late, but I put off the Back of Thieves because there was only the blind cell in logic. After I dipped once, I didn't really want to just go back for the 1 in logic thing when most of ice was in logic. There were it was just the 2 on the right and then Cold Stare that weren't with what we had. So I figured it was down to those 2 or just go back up to Muldorm and nothing else. And I didn't want to orphan Spike Cave, which also turned out to be a good thing. So I got pretty rewarded for playing that kind of conservatively. But it was still, I only had a couple things left.
I just don't bother worrying too much about Thieves Town. Like I was there, I had the sword. I figured, let's just get this shit over with. Get this over with.
Yeah,
and
I was.
If it happens to, the chances that it ends up being like this are just generally pretty small. It just sucks when it does play out like that.
Right. Yeah, I almost didn't dip the front 4, and if I had a sword, so I didn't touch Skull. I just was gonna go south to Hype, and if I got a few more pod smalls, might think about continuing to pod, And I almost didn't dip Thieves there. And if I had gotten the sword in hype and hadn't touched Thieves, I probably would have done the exact same thing and just cleared it. But since I had already been in there and left, I was like, well, you know, there's not really a big reason to rush back. You know, those checks aren't going anywhere.
Well, I owe Fry an apology because in the first 5 minutes of the seed, I cursed the Swamp Swallow.
Yeah, well, I didn't do myself any favors either, obviously, the way it played out. There's a lot of times when it just would have been hidden somewhere terribly. Like, the fact that we didn't have to go into GT for anything was nice, obviously.
Yeah, and that was virtually guaranteed, right? Like, you had to go...
Well,
like,
logically, I'm sure there's
higher-
some pod keys in there, I think.
Right, but, like, what I'm saying is, like, it wasn't, like, you couldn't miss the Meyer Big or Quake or Pod Big. Like, they were all...
Yeah, they were all kind of right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to Thieves after TR because I was like, oh, like I put off Thieves, like Hammer Pegs and Thieves Big are, you know, pretty good, and that's the thing that'll take the least time to clear if because I got the Desert Big after TR.
Yeah,
because I had left Hera.
There.
So I like went and did Thieves just because it would change the least, and then I got to just go mode the rest of the game, which I was not expecting, and just I felt like total luck sack there. Like it was just sort of like, oh, this is best case scenario. Like I didn't think it was like impossible that you may also have put it off, but I knew that a lot of people would clear ice before clear Thieves before dipping ice there. Some days I might. But
Yeah, it was
today.
literally the last place I could go at that point in time. Like I was over doing Eastern and Pod and stuff like that, so like obviously like I was just gonna do everything over in that area at that point in time since it was such a pain to get over to. Ice in general was just always gonna be easy to get to, so whenever I was somewhere I was always generally full clear in that area.
Did you also triple dip Aga Tower?
No, I did it in 2 dips, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, just 2.
Because I did like the North Loop. I did Skullwoods, North, Catfish, and I was like thinking like maybe I can just, you know, skip the pyramid. I've been pretty thorough, like pyramid and Aga Tower, because I got the Castle Tower key in Graveyard Ledge, and then I went up there, checked the second
I was almost
chest,
actually gonna
and then my
take the
very
bomb.
next check was second Castle Tower small. So.
Yeah, I was almost actually going to take the big bomb back before going to ice to look for that hammer, thinking maybe the hammer could actually be there, wondering if somehow that would save me time. But with Aga having to be required, I didn't see how that was going to help me in any way, shape, or form. It would have been more interesting in a non-all dungeons seed.
What were the 5-6?
I have no idea, but I had them after having like 4 dungeons done. I don't check. I just all of a sudden looked at
Yeah,
my menu and I had a couple of red crystals, so I have no clue what the 5-6 crystals were.
I think it might have actually been Thieves and Hera.
I was gonna say I bet you it's Thieves and it was out of logic, so and not that it mattered. I didn't
Because
end up doing it, so.
After Skull, I checked to see if I had any red crystals, and I didn't. So I had Eastern and Skull done at that point. So yeah, it had to be, like, if you did that before, or if you were considering it before Ice, it did have to be Hera and Thieves. Moldorm was pretty scary for a while, but I knew it was a required double dip. But
Yeah, you're never gonna have an item to kill him, obviously, when you're up there. But eventually you go back there, right?
yeah, I did manage to put it off. Like I dipped ice first, and I wasn't sure about it, but I was still in my head. I was looking for so many things still at that point, and they just all literally were just on the path after that for me.
Yeah. Well, ice at least kind of had everything, just kind of right there. Once you got the hammer, there was the cane. I think there's something else kind of right after that as well.
Blind checked Lumberjack for the sword, and when I could kill Cold Stare, I was really happy about it until I got the last one in Freezer chest.
Yeah, I did the same thing as well.
How to do Lumberjack early in a boot seed, especially when you get the flute early too. It's sort of like, oh, well now, because I don't like doing it in open boots, especially not keys, where it's like if you need the item, you'll get the keys, and then you get the keys and don't know what the item is.
Well, all you gotta just think about is how often is the Castle Tower key your go mode item in this mode.
Right. Yeah.
That alone is enough reason to not check it until you actually have the Castle Tower keys at the very least, I think.
Right. I usually still check it if I'm like going up the mountain with Glove or something, but that was obviously not the case this seed. Well, I guess not obviously. You could have sequence broken it.
Well, I did. Yeah, I didn't actually get the flute right away. I didn't get the flute until later on, actually.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I just
I was in logic almost
up that way. I was thinking like I'd probably find like the lamp either in Hyrule Castle or over in Eastern. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just going up the mountain.
It's getting time for bed for me, so I'm going to excuse myself. GG's again. This was kind of a nasty seed that I really lucked out in. So
yeah, GG. That's how it goes sometimes.
Definitely the case.
Yeah,
thanks and
GG's to both our runners.
Yeah, thank you guys for commentary. Thanks for everyone helping with the restream. Thanks ZeldaSpeedRuns, and yeah, you guys have a good night.
Extra special thanks to Ben for filling in while I dealt with some internet issues for about 15-20 minutes too.
Yep, and thanks as always to our restreamers, our trackers, and everybody behind the scenes admitting the tournament, and I will see you all next time. It's bedtime for me too.
Yep, same here.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everyone.
So just before I close things out, we do have Schulzer versus Gamma Choose quarterfinals, games 1 and 2, 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern on Friday.
Okay, that's gonna be a good one too. Game and Chew versus Schulzer.
I believe that's the only ones on the schedule as of right now. And tomorrow, the only thing on the ZSR schedule is a Z2R Max Rando tournament based at 11 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.